Asteria says, Herida, salutes.
Χαιρετισμούς.
Socrates salutes.
Luke shouts, all attention to the Queen of Sparta.
Asteria says, Herida Queen in general.
Mineya says, Here General.
Luke says, Shire salutes.
Queen says, Χαίρετε Spartans. Priestis says, Χαίρετε Queen. Pirate says, Χαίρετε Queen.
Mineya says, Here Queen. Eurede. Salutes.
Queen says, It's a wonderful evening, happy to see all of you. Let's not waste the time and start Apella. Pirate says, The time of day in Elysian fields is 9:21. Priestess says, The time of day in Elysian fields is 9:21. Asteria nods.
Mineya follows them.
Apella says, Queen Aurora is at the gate. Socrates Dionysus is at the gate. Queen says, I extend a heartfelt welcome to the command and citizens of Sparta. Please take your seats, she conveys with her customary greeting. Asteria addresses a quick greeting to all those present before heading toward her throne. Queen says, once everyone has settled, she takes a scroll in her hand and starts to read her prepared speech. Priestess says, Are you discussing something? Queen says, Pride of all Greeks, keepers of honor and flame, sons and daughters of Sparta. Hear me as we gather under the sacred halls of Apella, beneath the eternal sky, a sky that has witnessed our triumphs, our oaths, and our spirit. Sparta endures not by sword alone, but by the strength of loyalty, and the sacred fire that binds us as one. Asteria smiles broadly at the introductory formula of the speech. Queen says, Spartans, tonight, I bring you words of progress and promise. Upon the hills beside the temple, near the king's royal residence, a new palace complex has risen. Not merely of marble and columns, but of devotion, and the spirit of those who craft our future. Raised by steady hands and guided by my own vision, soon its halls shall open shining like a jewel upon our land. But before its gates welcome the living, it must first be blessed. Blessed in a celebration as a new laurel upon the city we all serve. By my will, I decree that Hieros Socrates shall sanctify this new palace and dedicate it to the goddess Hestia, guardian of hearth and home, so that her divine warmth may dwell within its walls and protect all who enter. Let this day remind us that Sparta greatness is not only written in stone, but carried in the hearts of her children. May the gods favor our works, and may the flame of our ancestors never fade.
Hail Sparta! Hail Sparta!
Hurroo! Hurroo!
Luke says, hurry.
Asteria says, Sparta blessed by the gods to protect us forever. Haro!
Mineya says, Aro. Aro.
Asteria says, Sparta blessed by the gods to protect us forever. Haro!
Socrates says, Haru. Haru.
Queen says. Once her speech concludes, she sits on the throne to begin our Apella meeting. I invite a harp player to grace us with their music. Who among you will volunteer?
Mineya says that if no one offers, she is happy to do it.
Asteria nods vigorously, remembering how she herself has devoted her life to Hestia, vowing to preserve her purity as the goddess herself did. Queen says, yes please dear.
Mineya nods. Mineya approaches the center of the room where the lyre rests on the table. She pushes the stool aside, sits down, settles herself and takes a deep breath. Mineya places her fingers on the strings and begins to move them gently, making them vibrate, playing a beautiful melody. Mineya says as she tunes the strings, as she did not tell you anything about her last journey, today she brings you, my queen and everyone here today, a song that she wrote during her sleepless nights during my long absence. Traveling in Sparta from north to south and east to west, she gathered its magic and charm, and she is going to recite it to you accompanied by this zither.
Queen says. Lays back in the throne, enjoying the soft music that fills Apella chambers.
Mineya places her fingers on the strings and begins to move them gently, making them vibrate.
Asteria looks surprised at Ephor's words and listens to the music with renewed interest.
Mineya begins to intone her melody in a lilting and clear voice. Under a sun that burns like iron, the land of Laconia stretches out. There is no luxury within it, but rather the rule of a law that defends the warrior. You walk along paths of olive trees and stones. Through the shadowy alleyways. In the Agora, there is so little voice. Only the echo of forged steel can be heard.
Queen says, smiles bright hearing Ephor's sweet voice singing.
I gaze upon Mount Taygetus, bare rock. And in my mind a vision takes shape. Of children and men in naked combat. Training their strength with passion. He crossed the strait that made its way. The one that leads to the cradle of courage. Though see with my own eyes the destiny of a people who forged honor. And when I returned, I carried the echo of the sword. Of the helmet that once was, and in my soul. Annex of Sparta, the beloved city. Which I never lost again, because it calms me. The poet, with his soul in his hand, sings of the warrior's courage. On this Spartan land. Glory is its path. Mineya hums the last few chords. Mineya ends her song with a friendly smile, curiously waiting for the listener's reaction.
Asteria does not hide her surprise at hearing such a well-structured song, both in melody and lyrics. Well done, her gaze seems to say.
Mineya notices that she is leaving the audience silent, captivated, maybe, by her performance.
Queen says, asterisk eludes asterisk.
Mineya blushes at the praise she has received and at the same time is happy to be able to delight everyone.
Asteria claps hands enthusiastically.
Mineya nods her head in gratitude for the applause and compliments received. Mineya wonders if she should play another piece.
Priestess says, are you discussing something? Queen says, gives Mineya a grateful nod. Your music was truly enchanting, captivating us all. Thank you for sharing your talent with us. Please, you may now take your seat. Priestess says, are you partying? Queen says, asterisk eludes asterisk. Asteria claps hands.
Mineya nods, smiles and stops playing. Eurede. Salutes.
Queen salutes. Now, we must ensure that the records of today's Apella are meticulously kept. Who among you will take on the responsibility of documenting our proceedings? Asteria raises hand. I would gladly put my seal on the scroll. Who will store such memories, O Queen? Queen says, "Excellent. Thank you for your willingness to serve in this important role, sister." I now summon Hieros, Socrates, and Lammy to lead the Apella opening prayers, she proclaims, waiting for them to step forward and begin their invocations. Priestess says, "Are you discussing something?"
Socrates pours libations of honey-sweet wine from his chalice for the gods. To Heracles. Heracles, stout-hearted and mighty, powerful Titan, strong-handed, indomitable, author of valiant deeds, you change your form, O everlasting and kindly Father of time. Ineffable, wild, Lord of all to whom many pray, all-conquering and meddlesome, archer and seer, omnivorous begetter of all, and most sublime helper, who, for the sake of men, subdued and tamed savages' races, because you desired peace, which brings dazzling honors and nurtures youths. Self-grown, unwearying, bravest child of earth. You hurled your prime-bow thunderbolts, O illustrious Paean. Round your head dawn and dark night cling, and your 12 deeds of valor stretch from east to west. Immortal, world-wise, boundless and irrepressible, come, O blessed, bringing all charms against disease, with club in hand, drive evil bane away, and with your poisonous darts ward off cruel death. Socrates pours libations of honey-sweet wine from his chalice for Heracles. I now call on Priestess Lamy to say opening Apella prayers.
Priestess shouts, Hestia, you who tend the holy house of the Lord Apollo, the far shooter at goodly Pytho, with soft oil dripping ever from your locks, come now into this house, come, having one mind with Zeus the all-wise, draw near, and withal bestow grace upon my song. We offer you a libation of sweet honeyed wine. Hail almighty Zeus the Thunderer, hail all the gods of Olympus. We offer you a libation of sweet honeyed wine. May the gods bless all in attendance of these prayers.
Socrates pours libations of honey-sweet wine from his chalice for the gods.
Χαιρετισμούς.
Socrates salutes.
Queen says, thank you for the prayers, Hieros and Lamy. May your devotion resonate in the hearts of Sparta. Please take your seats with our sincere appreciation. Queen salutes. I now call upon our general to deliver the naval reports.
Luke says, Shere salutes.
Queen salutes.
Luke says, my queen, citizens of Sparta. Our land stands secure. Patrols report calm within our borders.
Queen says, nods.
Luke says, yet beyond them, Persian ships pressed deeper into Hellas, testing the strength of our allies. They have not dared to face us, and they know why. Athens, restless as ever, tries to seize our vessels. They continue their futile attempts to intercept even bigger triremes. They fail each time. For no wind, no wave, no storm, no fleet, no foreign hand can overcome a Spartan hoplite, even upon the sea. Sparta stands ready and faithful to your command, my queen.
Queen says, smiles. Asteria does not hide her satisfaction at hearing that Athens' attempts have been in vain.
Luke says, hurry. Hurry.
Queen says, hail Sparta! Hail Sparta! Hurroo! Hurroo! Asteria says, Sparta blessed by the gods to protect us forever. Haro! Priestess says, are you worshipping? Queen says, hail Sparta! Hail Sparta! Hurroo! Hurroo! Asteria says, Sparta blessed by the gods to protect us forever. Haro!
Mineya says, Aro. Aro.
Queen says, thank you for your comprehensive reports, General. You may now return to your seat. Queen salutes.
Luke says, Shere salutes.
Queen says, I summon Ambassador Asteria to deliver both the army and management reports. She announces, glancing towards her sister. Asteria nods and stands up at once. Herida salutes. Queen salutes. Asteria says, Honored Queen Aurora, the heartbeat of our empire lies in its people, and it is my solemn duty to present their current state to this distinguished assembly. Queen says, Please proceed, sister. Asteria nods and resumes her report. The population maintains its steady course, yet I must report significant developments that may bring forth considerable improvement to their conditions of life, O Queen. Queen says, nods. Asteria says, Our valiant architect, the Ephor has conducted me to visit the grounds where new systems of cultivation and irrigation are under study. Should the gods grant us their favor, we shall soon possess public fields where the needy may find sustenance, provided they draw water from the wells and quench the thirst of the earth as befits our customs. Queen says, Ah, the fields, she whispers with joy. Asteria nods her head with a broad smile. We resumed the work that slept far too long. These fields shall be added to those which belong by right to every Spartiate, and of which they alone may enjoy the fruits. Justice shall be served upon a silver platter, O Queen, and the poor and the foreigner shall have sustenance, without prejudice to the rights of we, who call ourselves the equals. Queen says, famine has been going trough Hellas now and then. With the new fields we make sure our warriors have enough food, and our citizen live prosper. These are good news, Asteria. I am very pleased. Asteria says, wise words, my queen, we must be prepared, especially in the light of the upcoming cold season.
Mineya loves the smell of fresh-turned earth, smiles.
Asteria says, after this news, I have nothing more to add about our population, O Queen. By your leave, your majesty, I shall now unveil the intricate web of relations that bind and divide the peoples of our time. Queen says, go on, ambassador. Asteria takes the word again, with an hint of a smile on her lips. Asteria pauses for a moment, having noticed a movement of the queen's lips, as if she intended to speak. Queen says, "Please continue." Asteria says, "Allow me to declare first that I am selecting with utmost care the members of the delegation who shall speak with the voice of Ares to Athens. The Ephor Mineya shall be among them, and she shall be instructed by me on what awaits her. Her task shall be to make our words resound high and clear upon the enemy Acropolis." Priestess says, "Are you discussing something?" Queen says, that. Yet I still didn't sign the declaration of war, sister. And as General is finally back in the city, he should review it as well."
Luke says, "I will do that, my queen."
Asteria opens his eyes wide in surprise. "Oh, I thought your majesty had already made her decision. In that case, we will wait until we are permitted to embark on such journey." Queen says, "Decision has been made, sister." But nothing has been signed yet.
Luke says, I will also need a copy delivered to my headquarters.
Asteria merely nods her head slightly, without adding a word. I will make sure you will receive a scroll carefully transcribed with the declaration of war, General.
Luke says, thank you, Ambassador.
Mineya listens carefully.
Asteria says, "Most welcome. I just assumed when the Queen speaks she had counsel with you as well, but if that's not the case we will wait until our time will come." Queen says, "Now about the war declaration delivery, I think a regime of hoplites needs also to be assigned, as Ambassador and Ephor cannot go on their own to Athens to deliver it." Notes looking at the general. On their own and all alone asterisk.
Luke says, I will make sure the delivery will be well protected, my queen.
Asteria says, not to mention words accompanied by the gloomy rumbling of shields and spears echoing in the air will have a greater impact, my queen. Queen says, nods. All right, then we can make any plans more or less on next Apella meeting. Priestess says, are you discussing something? Asteria says, I will make sure the declaration will be forwarded to the general, so he may have a saying on the matter. Queen says, thank you, sister.
Mineya develops a pensive expression.
Asteria says, it's my duty. Queen says, is there anything else that you wish to report, Ambassador? Asteria says. Asteria takes a deep breath and pauses briefly before continuing. Yes, my queen. Tonight I bring not only news, but I must also make a request of your majesty. I will tell you what it is right away, she adds a moment later. Queen says, go on, sister. Asteria says, Your Majesty forbade me from venturing into the land called Midgard after hearing from my own lips what dangers it holds. I have honored that prohibition with absolute obedience. Yet, my queen, I wish to ask you to reconsider your decision, just as you did for Athens, for I have heard rumors that I would like to verify for myself. Queen says, narrows her eyes for a brief moment. Athens is something else, sister. You go there with escort of a regime of best of our hoplites. Your safety is priority as you are high official to the empire. You can not just do as you please, ambassador. Send someone in your stead, but do not go alone. Priestess says, are you discussing something? Asteria lowers her head for a moment, aware that the queen is right but feeling frustrated that her requests have been rejected. Queen says. Notices disappointment on Asteria's face and adds with a gentle smile, "We need you alive and safe, for you are not a simple hoplite or guard, you are my ambassador and a confidant, and for all a friend, we will not risk your life for rumors." Asteria says, "I am fully aware of the dangers that await me in that inhospitable realm, a land of bitter cold, full of sharp peaks accessible only through narrow and treacherous passes. However, although I am a skilled diplomat, I am no less an experienced warrior, and I believe I possess the necessary skills for such a mission. I confess that this land fills me with unease, but duty is stronger than fear. I am ready to serve as your majesty commands though." Queen says, "None contests your war experience, sister. We all know you for who you are, but we will not gamble with your safety when it's not necessarily required. With that being said, you may send some trainee or citizen at embassy service to gather all necessary informations." Asteria nods silently, seemingly resigned to the queen's decision. "As you wish, gracious queen." If these are your last words, I have no further news to report for tonight. Queen says, Ambassador Asteria, your reports are greatly appreciated. She says warmly, you may now return to your seat. Asteria says, Herida, salutes. Queen salutes. Now, I would like to request the council representatives to update us on the ongoing trials in the Empire, recent command events, ongoing and those scheduled for the near future. Please step forward to provide your reports. Priestess says, are you talking about combat?
Mineya stands up and steps forward to present her reports.
Priestess says, are you discussing something?
Mineya says, Eurede. Salutes.
Queen salutes.
Mineya, holding her scroll with both hands, unrolls it and begins to read about the events that took place the last week. Mineya starts reading about last Thursday 16th. Scroll released by Ephor Mineya on subject belly dance in autumn colors. Celebrating the autumn, we enjoyed more than 2 hours belly dancing to the fusion of rhythms by Ephor Mineya. The dancers gracefully moved their brightly colored silks as if they were leaves swaying in the cool autumn breeze. Thanks to Ambassador Asteria for co-hosting. On behalf of Queen Aurora. Por Mineya.
Queen says, asterisk eboots asterisk. Asteria claps hands. Queen says, it was very nice one.
Mineya says, it was good time. Mineya pauses for a second and goes on. For personal reasons, our counselor Alilangel has been unable to report on the Bards gathering and her training, so I will mention it myself. As always, the gathering of bards took place on Sunday the 19th, which was attended, as usual, by numerous assistants.
Queen says, asterisk debuts asterisk.
Mineya says, with 6 guests, including some readers who enjoyed and delighted everyone with their talent in the art of poetry. As always hosted by Mr. Saberman Carter.
Asteria claps hands.
Mineya says, this same day, the training took place under her guidance who shared her skills in the use of the sword showing tactics of attack and defense. Mineya concludes with a brief summary of the events and activities that will take place this week for everyone's knowledge. On Wednesday, belly dance at the Agora with Hieros Socrates, who will share with everyone his amazing Greek music. On Sunday, once again the Muses will bring inspiration in the usually well-attended bard gathering, which as always is hosted by Saberman Carter. Later Counselor Alelangel will share her skills with the sword to train the brave Spartans. Mineya has nothing more to add and closes her scroll. Mineya smiles.
Queen says, asterisk debuts asterisk. Asteria claps hands. Queen says, was there no training last Sunday? I misread.
Mineya says, yes, I mentioned that before.
Queen says, thank you for your reports, Ephor Mineya. Asteria takes words. There was my queen. I swung my sword along with the counselor that very day. Queen says, smiles. Is there anything else you wish to add, Ephor?
Mineya says, anything else I wish to add today?
Queen says, what exactly, Mineya?
Mineya says, sorry, I have nothing to say today.
Queen says, all right then, you are dismissed, please return to your seat. Queen salutes.
Mineya says, Eurede. Salutes.
Queen says, at the conclusion of today's Apella meeting, I shall recite words that were spoken in days past. Embrace the boldness of Ares, for in the heat of conflict, courage is the greatest weapon. Priestess says, are you talking about combat? Queen says, taking a moment to gather her thoughts, she turns her gaze towards Hieros. I kindly ask Hieros Socrates to offer the closing prayers for this Apella.
Socrates pours libations of honey-sweet wine from his chalice for the gods. To Hieros. Queen of all, charming and lovely and blooming, blessed Hieros, mother of all, bringer of prosperity, hear me. Through you vanish the diseases that afflict men, and through you every house blossoms to fullness of joy, and the arts thrive. The world desires you, O Queen, and only soul-destroying Hades ever loathes you. Ever youthful, ever beloved, you are a haven for mortals. Apart from you all is without avail for men, wealth, sweet to those feast, and giver of abundance, fails, and man never reaches the many pains of old age, for you are sole mistress and queen of all. But, goddess, come, ever helpful to the initiates, and keep away the accursed distress of harsh disease. Socrates pours libations of honey-sweet wine from his chalice for the gods. I now call on Priestess Lamy to say closing Apella prayers.
Priestess shouts, I will sing of Zeus, chiefest among the gods and greatest, all-seeing, the Lord of all, the fulfiller who whispers words of wisdom to Themis as she sits leaning towards him. Be gracious, all-seeing son of Kronos, most excellent and great. We offer you a libation of sweet honeyed wine. May Zeus and the gods bless this city, its king, its princess regent, its royals, and all of its citizens. We offer you a libation of sweet honeyed wine. May the gods bless all who attended these prayers.
Socrates pours final libations of honey-sweet wine from his chalice for the gods. Socrates salutes.
Queen says, "Thank you for your prayers, Hieros and Lambes. I appreciate everyone who joined us in today's Apella." Queen salutes. Before the next Apella, we will gather in front of New Place Complex. Hieros, please prepare prayers to Hestia to bless my new residential home.
Luke shouts, "All raise for the Queen of Sparta."
Queen says, smiles at all the present. I wish you good night. Asteria says, may you all close your eyes with the favor of the gods.
Mineya wishes you a pleasant night.
Luke says good night.
Priestess says, good night, Luke 92. Pirate says, good night, Luke 92. Queen salutes.
Mineya says, Eurede. Salutes.
Asteria says, Herida, salutes.
Socrates salutes.
Queen says, vanishes with general behind hidden Apella gates. Apella says, Aideen Odgar is at the gate.
Pairat says, Saliateis Asteria.
Mineya says, good night Socrates and Lambis.
Asteria says, have a beautiful rest, Spartans.
Socrates says, good night.
Mineya says, good night Ambassador.
Asteria says, good night, Ephor.
Mineya says, sweet dreams.
Asteria says, Herida, salutes. For you too.
Socrates salutes.
Mineya says, Eurede. Salutes.